Discover the incredible moment a single dad's touching reaction transformed a blind date forever. Jake sat at the diner, chewing his nails as he scanned the room while waiting for Sarah. The bustling chatter around him felt like the background noise of his life, always busy, always chaotic. He was a single dad, a mechanic working hard to provide for his 8-year-old daughter, Mia, whose laughter filled their cramped apartment like sunshine. But tonight was different. Tonight it was about him. He swatted away the pang of guilt creeping in, convincing himself that he deserved this. When Sarah walked in, the world around him faded. Dressed impeccably in a designer dress, she seemed to radiate confidence. Jake felt out of place in his grease-stained t-shirt, but he shook off that nagging feeling as she smiled at him. "Hi, you must be Jake," she said, her voice smooth like honey. Their conversation began with awkward small talk, but as they eased into deeper topics, laughter erupted like fireworks. They bonded over parenting mishaps. He shared a story about Mia's first attempts at baking that ended with flour everywhere. "I thought I was raising a future chef, but what I got was a mini tornado," he chuckled, watching Sarah's eyes brighten with genuine amusement. In that moment, the barriers between them started to dissolve. But just as sparks began to ignite, Jake's phone vibrated fiercely on the table. The school's number flashed on the screen, sending a wave of dread crashing over him. "She's fine. She's fine," he muttered to himself, picking up to hear the frantic voice on the other end. Mia had a minor accident on the playground and needed him. He felt his heart lurch. "I'm sorry, I really have to go," he stammered, glancing at Sarah, who blinked back surprise. There was confusion on her face, but he couldn't stick around. He bolted from the diner, urgency propelling him through the familiar streets. The thought of Mia in distress squeezed his heart. He envisioned her small face crumpled in tears. When he finally reached the school, he scooped Mia into his arms, feeling an overwhelming weight of relief wash over him. "Hey, you're all right," he whispered, burying his face in her hair, inhaling her familiar scent like a lifeline. She giggled despite the tears. Jake's heart swelled at the sight of her smile, effortless and bright, reminding him why he worked so hard every day. As the hours passed and Mia gradually calmed, Jake wrestled with the guilt of leaving Sarah behind. Realizing that keeping his daughter safe meant more to him than any fleeting romantic connection, he resolved to return to the diner later that night. Standing drenched at Sarah's doorstep, rain tapping rhythmically above him, he could feel his pulse quicken with both nerves and determination. When she opened the door, surprise lit her face, but her smile quickly settled into tenderness. "Jake?" she asked softly, shifting the weight of understanding in her gaze. He took a deep breath. "I had to be there for my daughter. She's my world." In that moment, he peeled back the layers of who he was. A father who would fight for the joy of his little girl, regardless of what the world saw on the surface. Rather than grease on his hands, he felt pride in having embraced his responsibilities. Just as their eyes locked, something flickered between them, a beautiful tension lingering in the air. But the spark sputtered as Sarah stole a glance at her watch. Time felt heavy on both their hearts as reality crept back into the frame. Would their different worlds keep them apart forever? Or could they find a bridge between Jake's love for Mia and Sarah's polished life? The uncertainty gripped him as he stood there, heart pounding, waiting for her response. Sarah's gaze softened as she looked back at Jake, the weight of understanding hanging between them. "I get it," she said slowly, her voice laced with sincerity. "I really do. Family comes first." Jake felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. Maybe this could work. Maybe they could navigate this fragile new connection. He took a half step forward, desperate to bridge the gap. I know we just met, but I'd like to be honest about who I am. Mia is everything to me." "I appreciate that," she replied, her expression shifting. "It's rare to see a father so devoted." "I'm just trying to do my best," he added with a weary smile. "Every day is a balance, and it's hard. Sometimes it feels like I'm juggling everything while standing on one foot." "Thanks for sharing that," Sarah said, a hint of admiration in her eyes. "I can respect a man who prioritizes his child." Jake's heart soared a little at her words. He could sense a flicker of possibility in her demeanor, perhaps a chance to forge a connection where there had been doubt. But then the moment froze. Sarah's phone buzzed melodically from inside her purse, pulling her attention away, breaking the intimate moment they had built. The smile faded from her face as she looked at the screen, and Jake's heart sank. "I have to take this," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper as she stepped back into the dim light of the hallway. "Of course," he replied, trying to hide his disappointment. Instead, he filled the space with thoughts. Was he too much to handle? Was a casual connection too far outside her realm? He watched as Sarah stepped away, her posture slightly rigid now. The enthusiasm they had just shared felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Tension coiled back into the air, thick and unyielding. Jake jumped to fill the silence. "Hey, if you want, maybe we can do this again. I'd really like to get to know you better." "Jake, She turned back, biting her lip. The phone call was taking longer, her expression a mixture of frustration and concern. "Can we take a rain check? I have something I need to sort out first." He nodded, feeling the cool sting of rejection, even though he understood. "Sure, of course, I get it." As she walked deeper into her home, her footsteps echoed, leaving him standing alone on the doorstep, rain trickling down around him. The streets glimmered wet under the streetlights, but his heart felt heavy. His mind churned with questions. What would it take to truly connect with her? Was there a space in her life for Mia and him? The door shut softly, and Jake turned to face the rain. He took a breath, trying to shake off the uncertainty, but as he made his way back to his truck, his heart lingered on the what-ifs. He imagined Mia's laughter ringing across their small apartment while he balanced a dinner date and a homework session. Could that work? But then his phone buzzed again, a text from Mia's school, an announcement about a parent-teacher meeting coming up. "See you soon, Dad," she had sent him just that morning. The words like a bright spot amidst the clouds of doubt. He headed home, thoughts racing, wondering how to manage his own desires alongside being the devoted father Mia needed. Maybe he'd dive deeper into finding out where Sarah stood, but could their lives really intertwine? He was just a mechanic, a single dad with emotional baggage, while she swayed in the world of polished charm. As he pulled into his driveway, illuminated by the soft glow of the porch light, he felt a sudden surge of determination. There had to be a way. He just needed to take the next step. But how? And for the first time, a flicker of courage ignited within him. His heart raced, charged with both hope and the fear of failure. What if the next step could change everything? Jake parked his truck, the rain creating soft rhythms against the roof. Inside, the warmth of their small apartment awaited. He glanced over at the seat beside him, imagining Mia's small figure, a flurry of energy, her curly hair bouncing as she spilled stories of her day. He smiled, thinking of her laugh. It was infectious and bright, a continual reminder of why he fought so hard for them both. As he stepped inside, the familiar smells of dinner flooded his senses. Mia loved to help in the kitchen, and tonight was no different. She had likely made a mess, but that was part of the charm. He took a deep breath, pushing aside thoughts of Sarah. This was their home, their sanctuary. "Dad!" Mia's voice chirped from the kitchen, excitement spilling over. "You're home!" "Hey, kiddo," he called back, his mood lifting. He wiped his damp hands on his jeans and stepped further in. "What's cooking?" "Pizza. From scratch." She beamed, flour dusting her cheeks like a playful decoration. Jake chuckled. "What genius taught you that?" Mia wrinkled her nose. "You did. Remember our last pizza night?" "I do," he said, feeling a warmth spreading through him. "You're becoming a master chef." She giggled, her hands posing like a magician revealing a grand illusion. "And I have a secret ingredient." "Oh, really? Do tell." "It's love, and extra cheese." As they shared a laugh, Jake felt a sense of balance, like he was exactly where he needed to be. But as dinner went on, the earlier encounter with Sarah gnawed at the edges of his mind. Was there room for something more? The feelings he felt in her presence swelled within him, but how could he invite her into their little world when he was constantly juggling responsibilities? After dinner, while they cleaned up, Mia began filling the quiet space with stories from school. She talked excitedly about her friends, her teachers, and an upcoming field trip. Listening to her, Jake couldn't help but think about how much he wanted to give her a stable, happy life, a life that could potentially include someone like Sarah. "Mia," he said, pausing as he rinsed a dish, "what would you think about me, dating someone?" Mia turned to him, her brow furrowing in concentration. "Dating, like going out with someone?" "Yeah, kind of like that. Just someone to spend time with." "Like a girlfriend?" He nodded, the word hanging between them in the air. She mulled it over, tapping her chin. "Do you like her?" Jake set the dish down, meeting her wide, curious eyes. "I think I might." Her face split into a grin, the excitement bubbling back up. "Is she nice? Does she like pizza?" "I think she would," he laughed, feeling lighter already. "Then you should ask her out, Dad." A sudden rush of courage surged through him at her enthusiasm. Maybe the leap wasn't as daunting as he had thought. "Mia, you're right. I probably should," he replied, his heart racing at the idea. "Maybe I'll text her tomorrow." "Yeah, but don't forget, you need to tell her about me. I need to be part of this." He laughed, the sound ringing out like a bell. "Absolutely, you're my #1 girl, always." After finishing the dishes, they sat down on the couch, sharing a bowl of popcorn while watching a cartoon. He felt content, yet apprehensive. Thoughts of Sarah flickered behind his eyelids, but Mia's laughter grounded him. As the credits rolled, he realized he needed to take action. It wouldn't just be about him anymore, it would be about them. Would Sarah and Mia hit it off like he hoped? Would she accept not just him, but the daughter who was the center of his universe? Jake felt a deep-seated worry creeping in, but what if this was the start of something fantastic? He took a deep breath, glancing at Mia, whose head bobbed with sleepiness. "Good night, sweetheart," he whispered, pulling the blanket up around her. "Good night, Dad. Don't forget to text that lady," she murmured, drifting off. Jake chuckled softly, watching her face relax in sleep. This was his life, a beautiful chaos he didn't want to lose. His phone buzzed, pulling him back to reality. It was an email from his boss, asking him to come in early tomorrow. For the first time he hesitated, staring at the screen, sorting through how he'd manage both work and a potential date. Would he have the courage when the time came to reach out to Sarah? As he contemplated, he noticed a small glimmer from the streetlights casting into their living room, illuminating the space. Maybe what he needed was a bit of that light for himself. What would he say when he finally reached out? The next morning came too soon. The sun peeked through Mia's bedroom window, casting a warm glow across Jake's face. He stirred, glancing at the clock. He needed to get moving. The world outside was waking up, the distant sound of children laughing on their way to school, pulling him from his sleepy haze. He slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Mia, and brewed coffee, the rich aroma filling the small apartment. As he drank, he felt the weight of the day ahead settle on his shoulders. Work always felt demanding, but today was different. Today, he needed to embrace the uncertainty of reaching out to Sarah. With every sip, he rehearsed possibilities for their conversation, picturing her smile and the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her favorite things. He wanted to connect with her, but doubts clung to him like the afternoon fog. Would she even want to meet someone like him? A single dad with a bright little girl. "Morning, sleepyhead." Mia's voice broke his thoughts as she padded into the kitchen, her hair a wild halo of curls. "What's for breakfast?" "Hey, champ, how about some eggs and toast?" He smiled, ruffling her hair. "Sounds great. And can we add some of that hot sauce?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Only if you promise not to overdo it this time." They shared a laugh, and Jake felt the tension of the day ahead ease a little. Moments like this reminded him of the joy at the heart of their family. Breakfast was a playful race between cooking and sharing stories from the previous day. Mia was particularly animated this morning, sharing every little detail of her school day, the surprisingly funny gym teacher, the tricky math problem she finally solved, and her plans for the upcoming field trip. Her excitement was contagious. "Okay, Mia," Jake said, watching her animated hand gestures. "I'll send that text after I drop you off at school." "Yay, you got this, Dad." She bounced in her chair, making him chuckle. Once breakfast was cleaned up, Jake grabbed his keys, glancing back at Mia. "Ready?" Always, she shouted, swinging her backpack onto her shoulder. The drive to school flew by, Mia singing along to the radio, radiant with the simple joy of being alive. He parked and walked her to the entrance, unable to shake the looming thoughts of the text he had to send. "Okay, have a great day, kiddo," he said, leaning down to kiss her forehead. "Good luck with your lady. Text her soon," she reminded him, skipping into the building. Jake took a deep breath as he watched her disappear inside, then fished his phone from his pocket. He had a decision to make. His fingers hovered over the screen, uncertainty prickling at him. He had to fight that instinct to pull back. He needed to take a risk. With a sudden rush of resolve, he began typing. "Hey, Sarah, I've been thinking, would you be interested in grabbing coffee this weekend, maybe together?" He chewed on his lip, rereading the text. It felt so simple, yet held the weight of monumental expectations. Every second seemed to stretch like an eternity as he debated hitting send. Finally, he pressed the button, feeling a mix of hope and dread crash through him. The boldness of that step stunned him. There was no turning back now. As he drove away from the school, the reality of what he'd done settled within him. What if she said yes? What if she said no? His phone buzzed again, pulling him back to the present. It was an email from his boss, again asking him to come in early. At that moment, another wave of worry hit him. What if work would be too demanding? Would he even have time for this budding new relationship if it developed further? What if Mia got attached too? But right then, as he drove through the bustling streets, he knew one thing. The uncertainty didn't scare him as much as it once had. Every moment spent with Mia ground him, reinforcing that whatever happens next could be a step towards something good, something fulfilling. Just as he caught sight of the familiar office building, his phone chimed one more time. It was a reply from Sarah. His heart thudded in his chest as he glanced down quickly to read it. Would it be the answer that could change everything? Jake's heart raced, and for a brief moment, the noise of the city faded away. He could barely make out the words on the screen, yet it felt like they were echoing in his mind with every blink. "Hey, Jake! I'm surprised to hear from you, but I'd love to grab coffee this weekend. How about Saturday at 10? A wave of relief washed over him, followed by a rush of excitement. Sarah had said yes. He couldn't stop the smile that crept across his face, stretching from ear to ear. For the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of hope, a light breaking through the clouds of self-doubt. Still, he hesitated. A coffee date felt so casual, yet it carried so much potential. What if she didn't like him in person? What if he stumbled over his words, making himself look foolish? The scene that played out in his mind, filled with ridiculous moments, made him chuckle softly. Sighing, he composed himself, hands steady as he started typing back. Perfect. Looking forward to it. Jake arrived at his office just as the management team gathered for their morning briefing. He slid into a seat, but he could hardly concentrate. All he could think about was Saturday. "Hey, Jake, you with us?" Tom, his boss, nudged him lightly. "What's got you so distracted?" "Oh, just thinking about the weekend," Jake replied with a smile. "Counting down the hours, huh?" Tom laughed, oblivious to the actual butterflies in Jake's stomach. The meeting dragged on, filled with numbers and charts that seemed dull compared to the thought of meeting Sarah. He couldn't shake the daydreams that kept creeping in, the places they might go, the conversations that flowed easily, and the unspoken connection that might spark between them. When he finally got a break, he peeked at his phone again. No new messages, but he smiled at Sarah's text. The anticipation churned in his stomach like a wild, joyful dance. Later that day, Jake picked Mia up from school, and they headed to their favorite ice cream shop. The quiet comfort they shared was like turning pages in a familiar book. "Dad, you okay?" Mia asked as she licked her cone, her eyes scrutinizing him. "Just excited about something," he answered, careful not to spill the news just yet. "What is it? Who's the lucky girl?" She grinned, teasing him playfully, her youthful energy blending seamlessly with the sense of sugar and cream around them. "Just a friend I'm meeting for coffee," he replied, a bit guarded but unable to hide his happiness. Mia's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "I can't wait to hear all about her, Dad. What if you fall in love?" The innocent comment caught him off guard, making him chuckle. "Slow down, little one, let's just see how it goes." Later that evening, as he tucked Mia into bed, it struck him. He hadn't told her what it would mean for their family if he were to date someone seriously. He would need to find a way to navigate those waters carefully, blending his optimism with the solemnity of what that kind of change could entail for both of them. He turned off the light and stepped back into the hallway. Gazing out the window, he could see the stars beginning to twinkle. There was nothing but possibility out there. After a few minutes, his phone buzzed again. This time it was Sarah, asking what type of coffee he liked. A silly question, yet it felt significant. He typed back a simple answer, but as he tapped send, he couldn't help but feel the weight of everything just beneath the surface. As the excitement of the date swirled in his chest, so did the anxiety of what lies ahead. What would it mean for him? For Mia? He made a mental note to watch the words he'd share, knowing the impact was much more significant than just coffee and conversation. He hoped for laughter, but experienced butterflies would blend into heartfelt discussions. As he lay in bed later that night, staring at the ceiling, the reality of Saturday loomed large. Would this finally lead him to the connection he longed for? Tomorrow would come with all of its questions, and he would have to face them head-on. One sweet date could change everything, or lead to something he wasn't prepared for. But there was only one way to find out. Saturday arrived, and with it a whirlwind of nerves and excitement. Jake stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, adjusting the collar of his shirt for what felt like the 100th time. He wanted to look relaxed, yet presentable, a delicate balance he somehow feared he wouldn't achieve. "How do I look?" he called to Mia, who had taken over the living room with her dolls and an imagination running wild. She popped her head around the corner. "You look like a fancy dad." Her words burst out with sincerity. "Are you sure you don't want to wear the superhero shirt? That would be way cooler." He chuckled and ruffled her hair. "I think this is the look for today, but thanks for the suggestion." As he stepped into the sun-drenched streets, Jake felt his heart beat in sync with the rhythm of the city. Music played from nearby cafes, laughter echoed from clusters of friends chatting over brunch, and a gentle breeze danced around him, bringing with it a load of possibilities and fleeting doubts. He arrived at the cafe early, taking a moment to absorb the atmosphere. The smell of fresh coffee enveloped him, a rich, dark embrace that ignited his senses. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the tension. The clock ticked closer to 10, and he found himself glancing at the door every few seconds. What if she didn't show up? What if she did? Thoughts spiraled, making the minutes feel like hours. Finally, Sarah walked in, bright and radiant in a soft yellow dress that seemed to reflect the sunlight streaming through the windows. Her hair bounced around her shoulders, and her smile was genuine as she spotted him. "Jake?" she asked, her voice lilting with certainty. "That's me," he replied, standing abruptly, his nerves settling just a bit as he extended his hand in greeting. The handshake transitioned to a warm hug, and he was surprised by how natural it felt. They settled into a cozy booth, laughter flowing easily as they exchanged stories over steaming cups of coffee. Sarah shared funny anecdotes about her recent hiking trip, and Jake found himself lost in her enthusiasm. With every smile, they connected more deeply. The nervousness that had gripped him began to fade, replaced with a familiar warmth. But as their conversation deepened, thoughts of Mia niggled at the back of Jake's mind. He couldn't ignore how vulnerable he was being by even considering a new relationship. Should he reveal his parenting right away, or let things unfold naturally? "What do you like to do when you're not at work?" Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling with interest in his response. Jake hesitated, then plunged in. "Well, I have a daughter. She's really the light of my life. I spend a lot of time trying to balance work and being a dad. It's not always easy, but it's worth it." He braced himself for her reaction, anticipating surprise or pity, but instead her smile grew wider. "I love that. Being a dad sounds amazing. How old is she?" 7, he said, the tension in his chest easing. "She's incredibly curious, always asking about everything, even coffee preferences apparently," he chuckled, recalling Mia's innocent excitement. "I bet she asks the best questions," Sarah replied, genuinely intrigued. As they chatted, a feeling of teamwork began to settle between them, like two people building a bridge together, one brick at a time. Jake felt a surge of hope stirring within him, and for a moment, The jumble of worries faded into the background, but just as he began to feel the magic of the moment, his phone buzzed on the table. Glancing at it, he saw Mia's name flash across the screen, his heart dropping slightly. "Oh, it's just Mia," he said, trying to sound casual, but the urgency in his voice betrayed him. "What's up?" Sarah asked, leaning in with curiosity. Jake took a moment, heart racing as he opened the message. What he saw made his stomach flip. "Dad, I heard someone at school say that new boy's mum is dating someone. Are you dating someone too?" He looked back at Sarah, wrestling with the decision of whether to open up about the level of uncertainty at home. What if this was too soon? There was a glimmer of understanding in Sarah's eyes, a mix of intrigue and concern. What would Jake say? Would this one coffee date unravel secrets he wasn't ready to share? The moment hung heavily in the air. Jake's heart raced as he stared at the screen. The question was so innocent yet so loaded. He could feel the tension tightening his chest, and he knew this wasn't just about him anymore. It involved Mia. "Sorry, I need to respond," he said, fumbling to type a quick reply. He focused, wishing to ease Mia's worries. "I'm just having coffee with a friend," he typed, hitting send. He looked up at Sarah, who was studying him with a gentle gaze. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice dropping to a softer tone. "Yeah, it's just..." "Mia tends to worry about these things," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Worry? About what?" He took a breath, feeling the weight of honesty pushing at his walls. "About me dating. I've been a single dad for a while, and I haven't dated seriously since I became a parent. I guess she's just curious." To his surprise, Sarah nodded thoughtfully, a flicker of understanding crossing her face. "That does sound like a lot for a kid to process. It's hard on them when things change." "Yeah," Jake said, his throat tightening. "I want to make sure she feels comfortable, you know? I don't want to add any more confusion to her world." Sarah smiled. "That's really admirable, Jake. A lot of parents don't recognize the emotional side kids experience. It sounds like you're doing it right." He felt lighter at her words, warmth spreading through him. Talking about Mia seemed to bridge a gap, a connection growing between them. He hadn't expected to feel understood so quickly, and it made this moment all the more precious. But then doubt crept back in. What if he opened up too much too soon? What if Sarah wasn't interested in a man with the complexities of fatherhood? "Honestly," Jake said, hesitating, "I wasn't sure if I should mention her so early. I didn't want it to change your perception of me or make things awkward." "Why would it?" Sarah replied, her tone firm yet comforting. "You're a dad. It's a huge part of who you are, and anyone worth your time would appreciate that." Jake was taken aback, her assurity illuminating a path he hadn't considered. "You really think so?" "Absolutely," she said, her eyes locking onto his. "I think it's brave. You and Mia are a team, and that's a beautiful thing." At that moment, the background noise of the cafe faded. It was just the two of them, grounded in a newfound understanding. Yet, his phone buzzed again, shattering the spell. It was another message from Mia. "Is it awkward to be at coffee with a girl?" Jake's chest hitched. He glanced up at Sarah, gauging her reaction to the content of the message. Would this shift everything? "Looks like Mia's still curious," he said lightly, masking the sudden wave of apprehension. "What does it say?" He bit his lip, nerves dancing, and read aloud. "She wants to know if it's awkward to be here with a girl." Sarah laughed softly, a musical sound that filled the empty spaces around them. "Little does she know that you're having the time of your life." Jake smiled, feeling a surge of warmth. The moment felt electric, and yet the uncertainty still lingered. It was clear he had to navigate this budding connection carefully, but could he truly open himself up to the possibility of something more with Sarah? "Do you think kids ever really understand what dating is?" Jake asked, feeling like he was venturing deeper into uncharted territory. Sarah leaned closer, her gaze a mixture of hope and curiosity. "Well, that usually depends on how honest we are with them, but I guess it starts with being honest with ourselves first, right?" Jake's heart skipped a beat. Her words resonated, striking a chord within him. Maybe, just maybe, he was ready to embrace this journey. But just as his hope began to bloom, he heard footsteps approaching. A familiar figure, unmistakable, came into view. "Mia!" Jake exclaimed, his heart dropping once more. Why was she here? What did this mean for his budding connection with Sarah? The air thickened with anticipation as he turned to face the unexpected reunion. Jake's breath caught in his throat, and he felt the weight of uncertainty settle like a heavy fog around him. Mia, his spirited little girl, had a way of brightening any room, but this time her presence felt complicated. She spotted him and waved excitedly, her brown hair bouncing as she marched over, her backpack slung over one shoulder. "Dad, I didn't know you were here!" she exclaimed, her voice a burst of sunshine in the cozy cafe. "Hey kiddo, what are you doing here?" Jake asked, mustering every ounce of casualness he could. "I just finished my art class, so I thought I'd grab a snack," she replied, her smile radiating innocence and joy. Her eyes shifted to Sarah with curiosity. "Who's your friend?" Jake felt his pulse quicken as he glanced at Sarah, searching for clues in her expression. Would she welcome Mia, or would she feel cornered by this unforeseen twist? "Mia, this is Sarah," he introduced, standing a little taller as he gestured toward her. "We're just having coffee." "Nice to meet you," Mia chirped, and despite the uncertainty in the air, her enthusiasm was infectious. Sarah offered a warm smile, clearly taking to Mia immediately. "Nice to meet you too, Mia. Your dad was just telling me how talented you are at art," she said, her voice smooth and inviting. Jake watched Mia blush slightly, her smile widening. "Thanks, I made a painting today that's all about the ocean and dolphins." "Wow, I'd love to see it," Sarah said, her interest genuine. While the two girls engaged in conversation about art, Jake felt a bit of tension release. This was a good sign, he thought. Maybe he could balance both worlds, his role as a father and this potential connection with Sarah. But then, he felt something twist in his stomach as he considered what Mia might think about him dating. Would this suddenly feel strange to her? Would she be uncomfortable seeing him with someone new? His mind raced, and with it, a flood of protective instinct surged. "Mia, I'm really glad you're here," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We were just talking about, well, grown-up stuff." "Like dating?" Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with a mix of innocence and mischief. Jake's heart plummeted as he fought the urge to cringe. Well, he began, scrambling for words. "Dad, it's totally fine. You can date, right? Just as long as you don't forget about me," she chimed, laughter dancing in her voice. Jake felt a sense of relief wash over him, mixed with a hint of gratitude to Mia for her understanding. "Of course, I won't forget about you. You're always number one," he assured her, smiling back. Sarah's eyes twinkled with approval, and Jake felt the warmth of her gaze. Maybe this wasn't the end of something, but the beginning of all the right possibilities. As the conversation flowed between them, laughter echoing softly in the cafe, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was pivotal. It felt as if the universe had paused, letting him breathe in the normalcy of laughter and connection. But then, as he looked at both of the faces shining with excitement, he realized how precarious the balance was. Would Mia's acceptance be enough? An unexpected thought crossed his mind, not just about Sarah or Mia, but about how this complicated web of relationships would weave into his new reality. As the moments passed, Jake felt himself questioning the depth of his feelings. Was he really ready to let someone into his world? And then, without warning, the cafe door swung open with a loud clatter, drawing everyone's attention. A figure stepped inside, a face from the past that sent ripples of tension right back into Jake's chest. Everything he had just built, the laughter, the lightness, shattered in an instant as recognition dawned. Jake's heart raced as he turned to face the newcomer, his gaze locked onto the figure that had just entered the cafe, Emily, his ex-wife. The years melted away in an instant, and memories he'd carefully tucked away surged forward like a roaring tide. It was impossible not to notice the tinge of hurt in her eyes, mixed with an unexpected wave of anger, as if their shared history loomed large between them. "Mia?" Emily's voice cut through the muted chatter of the cafe, and it felt like a jolt of electricity. Mia turned, her face brightening when she recognized her mother. "Mom!" she squealed, bounding towards Emily, her backpack bouncing with each step. Jake's chest constricted as he felt the tension wrap around him again. This was not how he had envisioned this day going. "Look!" "I found Dad," Mia said, her excitement uncontainable. She turned towards Jake, who barely managed a smile, frozen at the sight of Emily's stiffened posture. The atmosphere shifted, becoming charged with emotions both hidden and raw. "Mia," Emily began, her focus diverting back to Jake. "I didn't think I'd—" "Yeah, it's a surprise visit," Jake interjected, forcing some ease into his voice that barely concealed his nerves. "We were having a little coffee date here." Emily looked at Sarah, who was still seated, watchfully scanning the scene, clearly sensing the tension. "And you are?" she asked, her voice tight. "Sarah," she introduced with a smile that did not reach her eyes, evidently trying to maintain her composure amidst the chaos. "Nice to meet you," Emily said coolly, her gaze darting back to Jake. It was a look that spoke volumes, questions, accusations, and perhaps a hint of nostalgia from a time when they both dreamed of a different life. "Mom, I was just telling them about the ocean painting I made," Mia chimed in, obliviously cheerful. Her innocence echoed in stark contrast to the brewing storm. Jake could see the corners of Emily's mouth twitch as she fought to maintain her cool facade. "That's wonderful, Mia. I'd love to see it later." "Yeah, it's in my backpack." Mia sprinted back to their table, eager to grab her creation. As Mia rifled through her things, Jake felt the palpable tension rise higher. The cafe buzzed around them, yet in that moment, it was as if they were in a bubble, time standing still, while family dynamics unspooled in a way he had never prepared for. "What are you doing here, Emily? I didn't expect to see you," Jake said, his throat dry, trying to keep his voice steady. "I could ask you the same thing," she replied, her tone sharp but underpinned with a wavering concern. "But I don't want to make this harder for Mia." Jake's stomach knotted. "Right. It's just coffee, that's all." "Dad," Mia returned, painting in hand, and the heaviness momentarily lifted. The colors sparkled under the cafe lights. "Look, look!" Jake glanced at Sarah, who offered a supportive nod, while Emily's eyes softened at the sight. For a heartbeat, it felt like perhaps they could navigate this unexpected reunion, the three of them together. But even that flicker of hope felt precarious, as if it could shatter at any moment. "Wow, Mia, that's incredible," Emily exclaimed, kneeling beside her. For a moment, the old warmth surfaced, a brief reminder of their shared dreams. But as quickly as it came, it vanished, as a shadow crossed Jake's heart. While the three of them stood there, a static electricity hung in the air. The laughter of nearby patrons faded into background noise, and the bright colors of Mia's painting dulled against the weight of unspoken words simmering just beneath the surface. Jake's thoughts raced through the possibilities of what this moment could mean. Would this be the chance to forge a new path together, or just more tension to navigate? And just as he opened his mouth to voice the swirling emotions, he felt it, the creeping realization that Emily's presence might change everything. Would Mia's innocent joy bridge the chasm between him and Emily, or would her unexpected arrival send them crashing back into unresolved pain? As the three of them stood together, the past reached out with both hands, and Jake couldn't ignore the pulse of uncertainty. What awaited them next lingered on the edge of his mind, whispering one question above all: could they heal, or would the past consume them once more? Jake stood at the table, his heart racing as he watched the scene unfold. The warmth he had just begun to feel melted into confusion, a tide of anxiety creeping back in. Mia's small voice filled the air with excitement as she showed her painting to both women. He could see Emily's eyes soften for just a moment, her expression shifting as she took in the colors and creativity pouring from their daughter. But Jake sensed the tension simmering just beneath the surface. Emily glanced at him, her eyes narrowing slightly, reading him as though trying to decipher a puzzle he didn't have the pieces for. And here he was, standing with Sarah, someone he had begun to connect with just as the raw edges of his past were resurfacing. "Your painting is beautiful, Mia," Sarah said, her voice bright and genuine and a contrast to the unease that cloaked the air. She knelt down, admiring the artwork as if it were a masterpiece in a gallery. "I love the dolphins. They look so happy." Mia's pride swelled, and the weight of the moment lightened ever so slightly. Jake watched as his daughter's excitement wrapped around them like a warm hug, offering him a brief respite from the chaos. Thanks, Sarah, I love dolphins, they're my favorite, Mia exclaimed, beam radiating like sunshine after a storm. Emily shifted and took in the scene. Mia's bright smile, Sarah's encouraging words. So, Jake, I see you've met someone new, she said, her tone testing the waters. A hint of curiosity laced with wariness. Yeah, it's just coffee. We're getting to know each other, Jake replied, trying to keep things light while the surge of protectiveness for Mia bubbled inside him. Not that it's any of your business. But a glance from Emily cut deeper than he expected. I just want to understand where you're at and how it affects her, she said, her voice firm yet tinged with concern. Jake's heart ached. They were not the only ones in this dance. Mia was right in the middle of it. I want to be upfront, Emily. I want her to be okay with whatever happens, and if that means telling her what's going on. He trailed off, trying to find the right words without letting his frustrations seep through. Emily's gaze softened again. I know. I worry about how these changes might affect her. She's still adjusting. Jake nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I get this is complicated, but we can't shield her from everything. He turned to Sarah, who was patiently waiting. The gentle understanding in her eyes reminded him that maybe they could navigate this terrain together. Sarah, if you're okay with it, maybe you'd want to meet Mia properly someday. The words escaped his lips before he could pull them back. A rush of uncertainty flooded him. Linking the two worlds was a significant step. Sarah smiled softly, the warmth reaching her eyes. I'd love to meet her if that's what you want. The sincerity in her voice radiated assurance. Mia looked up at them, her eyes bright with excitement. Can we go on a family trip, the three of us? Or 4 if you want to join, Mum? She pointed at Emily, digging into the innocence of her idea, sparking joy with her nonchalant suggestion. Emily looked taken aback, her features softening while she considered. That could be fun, Mia, she said after a beat, her voice more gentle. Jake felt a crack of hope as he witnessed a bridge form, a connection weaving between the three of them. Well, if it's okay with both of you, Jake ventured, catching Sarah's eyes, her resolve encouraging. Emily nodded, the edges of old tensions slowly dulling. I want you to be happy, Jake, I really do. If Sarah makes you smile, then that's a good thing. Sarah smiled warmly at Mia, and it felt as if the room brightened. The air shimmered with possibilities. Jake took a deep breath, courage igniting within him. Then let's plan something. We can work this out together. As intentions mingled with laughter, the shadows of the past began to lift, revealing glimmers of a new beginning. Mia, caught up in the joy, pulled at Jake's hand. Are we really going on a trip? Absolutely, Jake confirmed. Yay! Mia danced on her toes, infectious laughter filling Jake's heart with warmth. In that moment he realized the tableau of life was never going to be perfect. It would always hold complexities and unexpected surprises. But he could choose to embrace the light, finding strength in those he loved, the daughter whose laughter anchored him, and possibly a woman who opened up a world he hadn't dared to step into. As he held Sarah's gaze, he felt more at ease than he did just moments before. Today was just the beginning, a moment etched into his heart where the specters of what once suffocated him began to give way to something new, a chance for reconnecting, for healing, and perhaps for a family that was unconventional but filled with love. Let's get some ice cream, he announced, breaking the moment's wait and seeing all their eyes light up at the prospect. With each shared smile, the three of them, once separated by the past, began weaving the threads of a shared future together, embracing the chaos and beauty of life while moving forward, hand in hand. As they left the cafe, laughter echoed behind them, a promise of hope and connection swirling in the air. This was just the start of their beautiful journey. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, because only true fans understand how vital it is to keep this community thriving. Don't wait not even one more second to share.